I've always loved the Nintendo Entertainment System. This big beige box was my introduction to video games in the mid 80s when my big brother had one, and I would beg him to be able to play some of his games, of which we only had a couple: Mario Brothers and Duck Hunt. And the other one I really remember is the first Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles game, which was incredibly difficult to play. But as we didn't have any other games to play, it was the one that we would go back again and again, trying our hardest to get past that awful level with the bombs. But long before the Red Ring of Death, one of the famous faults with video games consoles was the blinking red light of the NES. Many an hour was spent blowing into these cartridges in all directions, but to no avail. One way that Nintendo tried to combat this was with the second iteration of the NES, which was a top-loading system, which now commands rather huge prices on eBay. This was one thing I thought about getting when I started to get the Red Light of Death, but as it only had RF connection, aerial connection, and although I do love that what they call the dog bone controller, I just couldn't justify spending so much on another system that I kind of already had. So, with all that said, I decided to go ahead and get myself something that I saw on Amazon for just £30, which hopefully will solve all of my issues. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Retron 1 AV gaming console, and it is only 30 quid I think I spent on it on Amazon, so really good price, a lot cheaper than those top loading systems, and also with composite like the original that can go into an old telly a bit easier than an RF. So let's get it out of the package and have a look what we have inside. I'm loving the look of this. You can get it in two different colour schemes, one which is like a purple and pink, a bit like the Retron 5, but I went for this more beigey look to go with the original. As you'll see in a bit, it doesn't exactly match up, but it's a pretty good approximation, I think. You can also get the Retron 1 HD for a little bit more expensive. I think it's like 50 quid or something like that, which you can plug into a modern television. But again, I wanted to kind of carry on the retro vibe of the NES and have this as a bit of a backup machine to have when my old machine isn't working. Hopefully with it being top loading, it will be a lot easier, a lot more reliable in working with cartridges. And that's another thing about this. Although it's a clone system, it isn't a emulation system. I have plenty of those. I've got RetroPies and things like that I love emulating games. Don't get me wrong, I do enjoy emulating old games and having them all on a modern TV. But there's something also about having original hardware, and this is essentially an old NES really. It's got the same innards, I would say, pretty much as an old NES. I'm trying to open this as gracefully as possible, and it's just not happening. So apologies. I probably won't be keeping the packaging for this one, although it does come in very nice packaging. So maybe I should. But yeah, with my butterfingers, I'm just gonna get all this out as quickly as possible. But yeah, as you can see there, it does have the same connectors, and the reason why these top loaders worked a lot better than the original NES and were more reliable is because they didn't have those. They didn't put as much pressure on the pins when you put the cartridge in. As you can see here, composite cable out, just like the original one, that you can put into an old TV. Let's see what else we've got in here. I think it comes with a plug and all the wires. And also this slightly modernized controller. Another great reason for getting this. In some ways, I think this controller is almost worth the 30 quid by itself, because I've seen this in reviews, and it's much more ergonomic than the original, with those kind of tapered off edges, and there's some like bulbous bits on the back as well that make it a lot more comfortable to play on. You can plug in an old controller as well. They have the same ends, as you can see here. So it comes with one controller, this one here, the Hyperkin, and the Hyperkin was kind of was seen as making terrible controllers for the Retron 5, but I really like that one for this Retron 1. The Retron 5 is one that you can use for multi cartridges, which is a lot more expensive. It maybe would have been nice to have two controllers, but you can use your old controllers on it as well if you have them. And then here's the power plug. One thing I dislike about this, I have to say, it's a definite negative, which is a negative I would say with pretty much every bit of modern technology that you get. It doesn't come with its own plug, which I don't know why they do this if it's a cost-cutting thing, but it's quite annoying, don't you think? Am I just alone on this? But yeah, it doesn't come with a plug, so you will have to find a plug attachment to go with it. And then you have the composite cables to go with it as well. And like the original NES, this is just in a mono format as well, with one for the sound and one for the video. Quick look at the instruction manual, which is pretty slight. I think there's only a couple of pages in English, and then that's just repeated in different languages. But yeah, it shows you how to set up the whole system. But if you've had a NES in the past, you'll pretty much know what you're doing from the off, so it won't be too difficult for you, I'm sure. So there we have it. That's the Retron 1 AV. Really impressed, actually. Really like the majority of this. There's a couple of tiny niggles here and there about the not having a plug, only having the one controller, but overall for like 30 quid you can't really go wrong with this setup. So I think it's time for me to actually put this through its paces and see how it manages on a modern TV. And just for contrast, here it is on top of its big brother, the beige box itself. And as you can see, the original NES is a lot darker in colour, although of course this may well have faded over time. But yeah, I think it goes pretty well together with it, and the colours on this particular choice I think work really well. So now it's time to try it out on a big telly. This is going through composite cable to SCART plug and SCART plug into HDMI, playing Super Mario Brothers. And first impressions, really clear actually. Looks pretty good considering it's being blown up onto a HDMI TV. It's looking pretty good. I'd say it's running slightly fast. I don't know if that's because this is an NTSC system that it's playing through. This is just playing original cartridge, so there's no tomfoolery or trickery going on here at all. It looks a little bit green, I would say, as well. I don't know if you can spot that on here. And again, that may well be to do with the settings on my TV. But overall, playability, superb, and can't really knock it. For 30 quid, I do believe this is one of the best clone consoles that I've certainly seen. I've not tried many, but I do think this is definitely a good alternative if you like having the original hardware, but you're struggling with that fabled red blinking light of death on the original NES. I certainly won't be throwing away my NES anytime soon, but this is a great alternative and backup for my NES games. I hope you enjoyed watching that quick review, and if you've tried playing on this before, do let me know your feelings about it in the comments below. And as always, thanks so much for watching, and take care.